Our mission is to improve the quality of life for Kenyan citizens by providing monetary support to the health sector, increasing enrollment in education, and improving infrastructure to allow for greater access to rural areas. Kenya was a former British colony that gained independence in 1963. Their government structure closely resembles that of the United Kingdom, which was their colonizer. Another legacy left behind by Great Britain is that 80% of the population of Kenya adheres to Christian beliefs. Kenya's landmass is 580,000 square kilometers, which is approximately twice the size of the state of Arizona. Our budget of $1 billion is going to be broken down as follows: 10% is going towards a startup program to get the ball rolling, 40% will go towards health, 20% will go towards education, another 20% is going to go towards infrastructure, and then we're going to have 10% set to the side as reserve in case any of the other categories need more money.
Kenya has the joint fourth largest HIV epidemic in the world, infecting more than 1.6 million people with a 6% adult prevalence rate. There are 100,000 new HIV infections and 58,000 AIDS-related deaths each year, making it the leading cause of death. There are also 1.1 million children who have been orphaned by AIDS, so what needs to be done to curtail this deadly disease? Kenya Handel is proposing 3 advancements that can be made in the fight against HIV and AIDS. The first step is through education. Sexual education needs to be implemented into the schooling curriculum. Since young women aged 15 to 24 are almost 4 times as likely to be living with HIV, it is imperative that children receive the necessary education. It is also important that education reaches all of Kenya's population. Kenya Handel has plans to do this by using $150 million to ensure HIV and AIDS education is mainstreamed at all levels, including alternative, adult, and continuing education, and we plan to monitor and evaluate regularly the status of implementation into the education sector. To ensure that the education programs are being implemented properly, Kenya Handel will only allocate a certain amount of money each year. Aside from education, we are also going to aid in the distribution of condoms. The leading factor of transmission of HIV is driven by unprotected sexual intercourse. To ensure that condoms can be effectively distributed to everyone, Kenya Handel plans to allocate $100 million to administer them ourselves by traveling across the country. By doing this, it would assure that condoms reach even the most rural areas of the country. While we do realize that due to cultural norms, condom usage might not be as beneficial as other measures, we are hoping that through our extensive education programs, they will encourage more usage of protection during sexual intercourse. Since education and condom distribution focuses more on those who haven't been infected with the disease, we also want to reach out and help those who are suffering with this epidemic. Currently, there are 42% of adults and 31% of children who are receiving antiviral treatment, but that is not enough. Kenya Handel wants to increase those numbers. To do this, we will be supplying the economic needs that are necessary to purchase this treatment. Since it costs roughly $500 per person per year to be on the treatment, $150 million will be allocated towards this sector, which would allow for 300,000 more people to have access to the treatment.
Since 2008, Kenya has implemented free primary and secondary education. These programs are compulsory for children aged 6 to 14 and has led to an increase in enrollment. Still, in 2010, 1 million children were still out of school, and families cited the main reasons as not being able to afford books, uniforms, and school supplies. Overall, Kenya has a 78% literacy rate for the total population, with men having a higher rate at 81% versus women's 75%. Enrollment rates differ for different regions, with the central region having a higher percentage than the northeastern region. Our plan provides $100 million to both the actual schools and the government. Schools are in charge of providing children who don't already have uniforms with 2 uniforms to be turned in at the end of the year to later exchange for new pairs. Children will also receive 2 sets of school supplies, one to keep at school and one for at home to do homework. The rest of the money will be used to upkeep the schools. The money that goes to the government will be given to them to build schools and to train more teachers in order to decrease classroom sizes and increase teaching efficiency.
Infrastructure is a crucial component for developing nations to grow and improve quality of life. Without it, citizens face a number of great problems. Farmers are forced to grow only what they're able to carry on their own, which often is not enough to feed everyone, resulting in famine. Roads provide access to cities and connect people with the world outside of their own home. This is critical for people to participate in entrepreneurial activities and stimulate the economy. Limitations to their access of this results in poverty. Members of rural communities also suffer from poorer health and higher infant mortality rates, at least in part due to their lack of access to health facilities in the country. Kenya Handle Us has developed a plan of action to improve these conditions by investing money into Kenya's infrastructure. In order to prevent famine, we will use $50 million to make the rural roads all-weather so that they can be used year-round for the transportation of food by farmers. This will allow them to produce more since they will no longer have to carry it all. Next, we will build a railroad system for $150 million from rural communities into urban centers. This will allow poor members of the community to access healthcare within the city and will result in a lower mortality rate thanks to skilled healthcare workers with more equipment instead of the limited resources the rural areas have. Finally, upkeep of these roads will be crucial for growth within the developing nation. This can be done because new infrastructure will attract foreign direct investment to Kenya and bring the country more capital. FDI has been shown to come to developing nations with better infrastructure because companies need it for business, transportation, shipments, and communication.